Hi, good morning. Welcome to my Wednesday devotional. We are totally in January now, right? We're past New Year's, now we're going forward, right? I don't know about you, but I've already accomplished one of my goals, so I'm excited, but then my next goal is actually a lot larger, and it's probably going to take all this year. So, got my goals done so far, my smaller ones. Now I'm just going to work on the larger ones, right? All right, I hope you guys are doing great. It's actually cold and windy today where I'm at in the DC metro area, so hopefully the storm has passed through wherever you're at, and we're going to be hopefully warming up soon as we go into February, and I can't wait for March, my favorite month. And it actually has something to do with Queen Esther, so anyway, we'll get there as it gets closer. Once we get into the Purim feast and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, all right, so we're back back into Esther chapter 5. I'll cover last week's verses, but I'm excited about this week's. Okay, so I'm going to read it and I'm going to teach it. Okay, here we go. Esther chapter 5 verses 9 through 10. Now remember Haman's plot to kill Mordecai. So we're on this section. We're focusing on Haman. Now what I like about the way our author has written this book of Esther is it's like kind of highlights one character, and then we flip back over here and we flip over there, and it seems like there's a lot of different characters and a lot of moving parts. I like how they kind of focus on one, spotlight on the other. And so right now we're on Haman, his portion of it. Okay, so verse 9. Haman was a happy man. Remember, he was dancing. He was doing, I'm now so happy dance, right? As he left the banquet. But when he saw Mordecai, remember Mordecai, sitting at the palace gate, not standing up or trembling nervously before him, because I guess that's what everyone else was doing, Haman became furious. Now, verse 10, this is the clip here, and then I'm going to clip it over here, the other part of verse 10. However, he restrained himself and went on home. All right, so verse 10 over here for this week. Then Haman gathered together his friends and Zeresh, his wife, and we're going to come back to her in just a second, and boasted to them about his great wealth and his many children. Because remember, in that time, having lots of children actually was a sign of economic status, okay? We'll get into that in a minute. He bragged about the honors the king had given him and how he had been promoted over all the other nobles and officials. Because remember, he was number 2 in the chain of command. Okay, king number 1, Haman was number 2. All right, then Haman added, and that's not all. Why does it sound like a television commercial, right? Queen Esther invited only me and the king himself to the banquet that she prepared for us. And she has invited me to dine with her and the king again tomorrow. So, first of all, my compassionate side is like, I really feel sorry for this guy because I want to be happy for him. I mean, that is exciting news, right? And if it was anyone else but Haman, I would be excited. Be like, oh, cool, But unfortunately, we, the audience who has read this story so far, we know he's the bad guy. He wants to murder everybody. So, yeah, it's tough. I know we're supposed to love everyone, and that's what the Bible tells us to do. So, sadly, he really does need love. Even though he's a furious, angry person, he actually is very vulnerable. And it shows, and the reason why I say that is because it shows right here. Because he's doing all this bragging, and I'm so wonderful. He had to gather his friends and his wife. Funny how they insert that, and we're going to get to that in a second. And he had to brag over his whole resume of how the king promoted him. Actually, he's very vulnerable. And like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that he was a murderer, I can have more compassion. Now, the Christian side of me is like, okay, what compassion can I find for this man? I do sort of feel sorry for him. Because what's happening right now, he is climbing up, and he's just getting really high up there. What happens to what goes up must come down. And in this case, because he's a murderer, it's like it's kind of hard to feel sorry for him. It's like, okay, but that's how it works in life, He's just getting a little too big for his britches, as they used to say, or he just thinks he's all that in a bag of chips, and he's really buying into it. His ego and his pride is building up and up and up, and he's just believing his resume here, And he just does not see the fall that's about to happen, right? Because he's so excited. So yeah, part of me does feel sorry for him and really wants to be happy for him, but then, he's also a murderer, so, is justice going to get served, And it's not my place to judge, or any of us. It's really God. Will God handle it? Well, we're going to find out. But I do want to side note this. Why did I mention about his wife? Well, that's just so interesting, isn't it? Notice he's gathered his friends and his wife. I love how they kind of mention that and put there. Well, you're going to find out next week what she's going to have to say, and how she's kind of the leader here of this so-called group of friends that are coming, that are listening to his story, and what advice do they have? Oh, this is getting so good. I just love it. I'm so glad we're back. And we're in this second half of Esther here, as we start heading toward the end of Esther, sometime probably end of spring or so. But yeah, this is where it's starting to get juicy. So right now, that's Haman. He's getting real happy, and his ego's way up here. So what happens next? Was it pride goeth before the fall, or something to that effect? So yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys are all working on your New Year's goals, and you guys are enjoying these videos. I had a lot of viewers last week, so I thank you for all that watched me last week, and I hope you are watching this now, because this story is really starting to spin, and it's going to get really fun. So thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week. All right. Bye-bye.